Hello, everybody. This is going to be our MRS22 Spring 2022 Midterm number 1 review, question number 2. So this one is a kind of relatively new lesson, and so this one we're going to be probably doing a little more after even our midterm. So it says find algebraically the measure of the obtuse angle to the nearest degree that satisfies the equation 5 secant theta equals 8. Now, obtuse angle. In this case, let's look at these words here. Obtuse angle. Obtuse angle is going to measure between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. That's what we learned from our geometry, right? So which quadrant are we talking about here? We're definitely talking about quadrant 2. Okay? So this is a quad 2 angle. Okay, if you're saying, well, how come? Well, here is quad 1, here is quad 2, here is quad 3, and here's quad 4. And our angle measures start at 0, this initial ray, 90 degrees here, 180, 270, and back again to 360. So, in this case, because remember, our angles go in a counterclockwise way. So we're going to nearest degree, so we're going to round this off to nearest degree. And our equation is 5 secant theta equals 8. So let's take a look at this equation here. So, like, oh, 5 secant theta. Oh, no. Oh, well, we just did a question about secant. And secant is just the reciprocal of cosine. The very first thing we'll do is just first solve. In this case, we're going to divide both sides by 5. And therefore, secant of theta equals 8 over 5. Okay. And now you're looking on the calculator. Where is my secant button? There is no secant button, ladies and gentlemen. There is no secant button. Instead, since secant of theta is equal to 1 over cosine of theta, we're just going to replace the angle. So this becomes 1 over cosine theta equals 8 over 5. That means if I flip both of them, I get the equation cosine theta, I'll move it over here so I have a little more room here, over 1 equals 5 over 8. Okay? Now, reminder in this case is that this angle we're talking about is obtuse angle. Okay? That's the angle we're looking for. However, in quad 2, we also know, in this case, we want to find this reference angle. This is the theta of the reference angle. All right? So when I use my graphing calculator, which I will show in a minute though, to find the angle measure, cosine theta equals 5 or 8, again, when we do this, no, hit second cosine. Okay, whenever you try to find the angle, hit second ratio. So it's second cosine. And we're going to get cosine negative 1 of 5 over 8. Okay, so we're going to just take a look at a calculator. I'll pull this up now. Right, you guys ready? Right, now before we continue, when we especially want to find angles, hit the mode button. And you have to make sure you're in degree mode. Right now, my setting for my calculator is in radians. So we see here, we're going to go down here to the row that says radian degree. Move the cursor to the cursor highlighted degree and hit enter. Okay. This is with the Texture Instruments calculator. This right now I'm emulating the TI-84. Just make sure that whatever calculator you use, that right now if you're using degree, make sure in degree mode. Okay. And so now we got to do. Now again, we had cosine of theta is equal to 5 over 8. We want to find theta, so you hit second cosine. Every time you're looking for a An angle measure, always hit the second and the ratio. Now notice we have sine, cosine, tan. We don't have cosecant, secant, and cotan. So you have to take the reciprocal of the ratio. So basically, whatever the ratio is, you take 1 over that. Or if it's a fraction, you flip it. Okay? So 5 divided by 8. So yeah, I don't need to find decimal value. Close this, no. And our angle measure to the nearest degree is 51 point, so we have 51.31781255. I just want nearest degree. So we just want 51 degrees. Okay? So 51 degrees. So it approximates to 51 degrees here. But 51 degrees is not the obtuse angle. That's this measure here. Right? So 51 degrees is this here. We're looking for, again, this obtuse angle. So this is actually going to be, in this case, the actual angle. We talked about this before. In quad 2, okay, the actual angle is quad 2 is equal to 180 minus the reference angle. And that's what this is. This is the reference angle. Okay? So our answer, the actual angle, will be 180 minus 51, which is equal to, in this case, 129 degrees. That's our answer. Okay? So it's a lot of stuff here, and you're like, you might be like, oh my goodness, so many things. Well, take your time on each thing. First off, when we're trying to find, in this case, solve these equations that deal with trigonometric ratios. First, try to get the ratio by itself. So try to get secant theta by itself. That's the first thing. Second thing is, what we're going to do is, since it's a reciprocal function, just flip it to get the actual function, the ratio that we're used to. So we're not used to secant because there's no secant button on the calculator, but we do know that secant's 1 over cosine. So 1 over cosine equals 8 over 5. That means that cosine over 1 equals 5 over 8. And then we solve like we normally do. Second cosine of the ratio, we find the angle measure to the nearest degree, because it says here nearest degree. Now, if it says nearest tenth, you got to read carefully, whatever the question's asking for. And from there, we have found what's called the reference angle. And we're looking for angle quad 2. We use our rules. Actual angle is equal to 180 minus reference angle in quad 2. All right? All right, so hopefully this is not so bad for you guys. It's a lot of things to keep track of, definitely. That's why this is a midterm question. So, all right, everybody. I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. I'll see you.